Well, hello everybody and welcome to the leader booth here at NAB 2026. I'm Kevin Salvage, the Sales Engineering and Technical Marketing Manager for Leader Europe, and here we're showing the LT4670 and 4448 changeover unit. Many of you are now migrating and starting to deploy IP systems, and with IP systems comes PTP as your reference. But you've still got your traditional black and burst, tri-level sync, your digital audio references for your existing SDI infrastructure. They have to come from the same reference device. Otherwise you have a reference mismatch. So here at NAB 2026, we're showing Leader's new SyncAlign technology. And what this does is it ensures that whether you have a traditional black and burst failure or you have a PTP failure, the switchover results in all of your reference sources migrating and remaining from the same sync pulse generator. What we're showing here is the SDI output test patterns that come out of the LT4670. And here we have the your black and burst or tri-level sync. And at the same time here, there is your PTP information. So if you followed Steve and I with any videos, you'll know that you must know your Grandmaster ID, because that is going to be absolutely essential. So here we have the system. It's running off of the primary. And what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to force a failure on the unit. So what first of all I'm going to do is I'm going to affect the reference source. So what this is the equivalent of doing is changing the clock class. So as soon as I do that, you're now going to see that the black and burst was completely uninterrupted, which is the way it should be. There will be an interruption on the SDI because the way SDI uses a video scrambler, you can't seamlessly cut between them unless you're using like a vision mixer or router. But you will have noticed that as that sequence went through, PTP has now changed. So instead of being on Grandmaster finishing with an ID of 7.0, it's finishing with 7.4. So now everything has switched over to the backup unit. And if you look at the emergency changeover unit, you'll see that I've initiated failures on the SDI and black 6. And I'm now running off of the backup. The other piece that's absolutely critical here is you need to be able to ensure that PTP doesn't self-heal. And we have a capability inside the 4670s so that should the PTP become healthy again, it doesn't revert back automatically. Telco networks self-heal. In broadcast, we don't want self-healing networks. We want as few changes as possible when it comes to your reference signals. So if you're going to change, it's either automatically from the primary to the backup, or if you want to go from backup back to the primary, it's done by a qualified engineer who's verified that the failure will not reoccur at a mission critical point again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reset the system, and I'm going to go in and we're going to do the other failure where PTP occurs. So I'm just going to go through this now and reset the outputs that cause the trigger. So they've now gone. I'm now going to go over here and I'm going to recover the backup into its healthy condition. And if I want to, I can reset the changeover from here. So we're back to the primary. We're back to number 70 as the Grandmaster. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to do a traditional black and burst failure. So here we go. I'm going to cut one of the blacks. And now you're going to see it switch straight away to the backup SDI. There was no interruption here on the black and burst. And you could see that my Grandmaster ID has changed from 70 to 74, and now it's locked. So the system has transitioned. And if I go into here, fix the problem, what caused the black to reset, I just go in here now. I'm just going to tidy this up. I'm going to reset the system. So now, let's just reset the changeover unit. do that. And you'll see what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and set it back to the primary, but we've set it up so that the unit will not go back to the primary because of that enable only once. So now I'd have to physically go in, reset this to become the grandmaster again so it wouldn't reset. These are things you have to consider when you're deploying an IP system in a hybrid environment, when you're going to put this on top of your existing SDI infrastructure. And at Leader, I think we can clearly demonstrate here that we put a lot of thought into this, we understand the challenges, and we have a solution that is robust, reliable, and will not affect your on-air performance.